Well, hello again. But just those of you that may not know me, I'm one of the founders and CEO here at Intentwise. Um, love all things data and especially AMC. It's something that has been near and dear for me because prior to joining Intentwise, I used to run a large data and online marketing team at a consumer internet company. We built something that was an equivalent of AMC, but have since time Amazon has launched, I've closely collaborated with them. Today's topic is how do we put AMC to the best use to make the most out of it for Prime Day? And frankly, I say Prime Day, but I think the content today is going to be relevant for generally any tentpole event. Logistics for today's session. My presentation is probably going to take me about 20 minutes, and then I'll save a few minutes for questions. We will be sending out the recording as well as the deck after the session is done. So don't worry about missing out on any notes here. A quick note about Intentwise in case you don't already know who we are. With the likes of Amazon and Walmart and TikTok sharing tons and tons of signals information with us as in advertisers, brands, and agencies, we all could feel like we are data rich and insight poor. Intentwise is in the sole business of helping you go from fragmented data and signals to insights and actions very rapidly. We are a technology company, and that's our primary objective. Let's dive into today's session. Prime Day, I believe Amazon hasn't specified dates, but there is a lot of kind of assumptions in social media around like maybe perhaps between June 22nd to 26th, but it is going to be in June. What we want to do today is unpack how AMC can be put to use. I will begin by first, and my goal today is we'll walk through ideas around measurements, audiences. I want to leave you with at least one or two good frameworks to think about as you prep for Prime Day. And then again, drop your questions in the questions widget down in the right-hand bottom corner. I'll take them all at the end today. And let's dive in. Let me just, for those of you that, I think most of you would know what AMC is, but I'm going to spend just a minute on making sure we are all on the same page. So what is AMC? The simple ways I describe AMC is that it is the one place where every single shopper that is exposed to your brand and every one of their interactions, all the way from impressions, clicks, conversions, or anything in between like add to carts, add to wish list, every one of those events is captured down at the individual shopper grain. What campaigns they touched, what actions they have taken. We call those events. There's advertising events like impressions and clicks. There's shopping events like add to gift registry, add to baby registry, add to cart, watching detail, seeing the detail page, things like that. But all of it at an extremely fine grain of a shopper. That's what is available in Amazon Marketing Cloud, nowhere else. Here's another inside. Oh, sorry, give me 1 second. Let me close this. Here is another inside look on what is actually inside of AMC. So all these events are connected with what is called user ID. If any one of you shops on Amazon, you are assigned a unique user ID, and all of it is captured in AMC at that user ID level. Now you cannot go querying for or asking for what a specific user did, but you can of course look at insights and build audiences at cohorts of these users. So that's what is inside AMC. And because of that grain, at a very broad level, two things become possible with AMC. One is insights and measurement. You can answer questions that you couldn't answer before, especially things that have to be answered that require shopper level granular information. And second, of course, is audience design, which is creating custom audiences precisely for your business to make the most out of your ad spend. So those are broadly the two use cases. Let's dive into measurement. AMC certainly unlocks just new ways of looking at performance. Okay. My goal here is to share a framework to think about measurement leveraging AMC. As we go into Prime Day or any of these tentpole events, one of the questions I'm sure you're all asking is like, at the end of it, are you acquiring high quality customers? Well, what does high quality mean? High quality um, implies a couple of things, right? Is the first touch high quality? Are you acquiring a lot of new to brand customers? Are you acquiring them at a favorable cost, right? So that's all in that first touch. But then after you acquire them, are they delivering long-term value for you? It's very easy to end up in a spot where you drive revenue spikes on the day off, but in the longer term, it's not actually adding real value for your business. So this is a question I'm sure you're all are asking. I think what AMC does is helps us get closer to answering this question better. Okay, let me unpack this a bit, starting with a simple measurement framework on my next slide. I'm going to use the example of deals, right? Many of you are going to go submit and publish deals. Then the question is, are those deals just driving near-term revenue spike, or are those deals driving long-term value? That is the construct or the use case under which I'm going to walk through a simple framework. And by the way, what I walk through here will be applicable in lots of different circumstances. So let me dive in. So how do you measure long-term customer quality? On the left are some core metrics. The first three talk about new to brand. The fourth one talks about 90-day repeat rate. By the way, I say 90-day, that's 90-day, but that's more an example. You can pick the date range. That's the beauty of AMC. And then I also have a 6-month lifetime value. It could be 6 months, it could be 3 months, it could be 12 months, depends on how you want to measure it and specifics of your business. So that's one set of metrics. And down below, cost, right? Ad spend plus discount for all your deal ASINs, which then gives us a sense of customer acquisition cost, which then lets us look at this ratio, lifetime value over customer acquisition cost. The ratio we all desire to have, but it has been a little difficult to get, primarily because you really never had data at a sharper grain before, but now you do. Okay. Now, some of you who have tried to do this may be thinking like, hey, I'm making this too easy. It's not as easy as it looks. However, the way to think about this is you are several steps closer to this end state, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Let me illustrate this with a couple of very specific examples. So here is a scenario. Oh, by the way, sorry, before I do that, if you might be thinking, okay, where does AMC play? All the new to brand metrics, repeat purchase metrics, lifetime value metrics, these are all places where AMC allows us to get at that metric. Okay. So here is an example where things have worked out well for this brand, right? So this is a comparison of deal ASINs versus non-deal deals versus non-deal cohorts of ASINs. And as you can see in the metrics, deal ASINs definitely have driven higher new to brand percentages. That's not a surprise. But revenue per new to brand customer ended up being higher. Repeat rate is higher. Certainly LTV over a 6-month period, and this is important, is higher as well. Even though the CAC is higher, and it tends to be when you do discounts, the overall lifetime value to CAC ratio is much better on your deal ASINs versus the non-deal cohort, meaning whatever you did, Prime Day definitely has expanded your base and done that profitably, right? This is an example where things have worked out well. And by the way, as I go through this, I believe the last, like Prime Day last year happened in July. You're still within this 13-month window, right? With AMC, I would urge you to run this analysis or make an attempt at it to get a baseline for how things went last year, where deals compared to the non-deal cohort perform better or not. That's something you should do, and you can do with the data set within AMC. Here's an example of a situation where things didn't pan out so well. The issue here is that ultimately, the on a number of metrics, whether it's repeat purchase or LTV, and certainly in the end, the LTV versus CAC ratio, when you compare, the deal ASINs definitely would have driven near-term sales, but the customer acquisition, the quality of customers acquired wasn't high value, right? The point I want to make is that you can use this framework certainly to evaluate your deal performance from last year and then figure out what products you may want to continue versus not from a deals perspective. But more importantly, I think it's a construct that can be used to compare or evaluate lots of other angles as well, right? Like overall, how did your business do on Prime Day versus a non-Prime Day? That could be the lens. But what's important is see if you can, like, this framework and building this out kind of for your portfolio of products. While I share this, I do want to call out some challenges with this, right? Ad spend. Sponsor product, sponsor display ad spend, very clearly available by product. But when it comes to sponsor brand, it's not. DSP spend is even worse. Now you can resort to some campaign naming and things like that to get to some level of product level costs, but even that is not precise. What I recommend you think about doing is that construct this, even if it is with sponsor product and sponsor display spend, because the fact of the matter is, if your metrics aren't favorable just with that spend in consideration, very likely it won't be favorable taking into account display, DSP and sponsor brand anyway, right? The point is, this is not precise science, but it'll get you closer to measuring whether all this activity is allowing you to capture high-value customers or not, and where do you tweak? What ASINs do you not want to put on deals versus put on deals? Those types of things start to become clearer. But I'll be the first to admit this is not precise science, but you can get closer and get to a better place of measuring whether your tactics are working or not. So the point I want to make is, like, a lot of times ASINs that drive a lot of sales aren't necessarily driving your best future customers. So I would use this framework to get at kind of discerning and unpacking this. Here's another question that comes up, like, when should I deploy my ad spend? Do I do it before, during? Do I also do it after? Right? So there is if you haven't already run this, I highly recommend you run a tentpole event analysis. Like, for example, like we all know, this gets socialized a lot, which is, hey, build the audience before, conversion during Prime Day, and then also re-engage and retain post Prime Day. But has this actually made sense for your business is the open question. And so the best way to do that is run the tentpole overlap analysis. For those of you that use the AMC console, that query is available to you, although the output you get is in kind of a spreadsheet. If you are on the Intentwise platform, you can run this analysis and get a view like this fairly quickly. If you haven't already done this for your last Prime Day, I would do that right now. That is one of the things you should do. And that way you actually understand by cohorts, how are things panning out? Is investment in lead up important? Is it investment in lead out important? Like, for example, right here, like, in this view, what jumps out for us is that, like, generally the purchase rate and return on ad spend for shoppers that are exposed to your lead up and event day is better than the rest. Meaning that you probably want to think about deploying a reasonable amount of ad dollars leading up to the event versus just on event day. But I urge you to run this, get a clean view, and have that handy and be ready to execute this again at the end of this Prime Day as well. I want to jump into audiences, which obviously is another super critical component. but the question is, what does AMC do? What exists outside of AMC? Let me just quickly share with you, if you are not already aware, audiences that are available through the console, ad console or DSP. On the ad console, there are audiences available in the sponsored ads console that you can activate on sponsored product and sponsored brand, which is with a 3-month look back, whoever has added your brand, your product to the cart, right? Past purchases, again, 3-month look back. What's available in this sponsored brand only is new to brand shoppers with a 12-month look back. And again, on another audience that is available in sponsored product is like what's called high interest. Amazon figures out based on browsing and shopping signals, shoppers who are exhibiting high interest. Right? So this stuff is available in the ad console. You don't need AMC to activate this stuff. Similarly, on DSP, there are some pre-built audiences for you that, like for example, products, brands, and Amazon stores. You can go construct audiences that have engaged with any of these with your competing brands, as an example, right? You can also create audiences based on certain signals from Prime Video. These are available within DSP. You don't need AMC for this. But where does AMC kick in? AMC kicks in when you want to go create like very specific fine-tuned audiences based on your brand characteristics or exposure to your brand. There's a lot of ways you can think about audiences from AMC for a tentpole event like Prime Day. The way we want to simplify and think about this is like primarily 3 goals, right? So one is high quality acquisition. How do we get more and more net new people into your funnel and getting converted? Second is conversion. We all know conversion rates super high on Prime Day. There's a lot of deal shoppers that come buy on Prime Day but don't buy most other times. So that's the other focus. And finally, retention. Retention as in, have you lost customers that were loyal to you? Do you want to bring them back? How do you increase lifetime value of customers? So these are the lenses with which you want to look at audiences. And against each audience, I'm going to share each goal. I'm going to share with you the different types of audiences that are possible, right? Or you should think about. I've highlighted a few of these that for us have historically shown promise and good outcomes. But I'm not going to read each of these necessarily, but under each bucket, by the way, we'll share this slide, so don't worry about that. Under each bucket, there are specific audiences. For example, on the acquisition side, category searches, which basically is like people who have searched super high intent keywords, and you've seen impressions or clicks, but they haven't yet bought from you, right? So super high intent, new to brand folks that you can convert. You can do lookalikes. You can also go after in-market shoppers that have never bought from you, right? So that's on the acquisition side. Certainly on the conversion side, add to carts and have not purchased, a straightforward one. Make sure that is activated, and there's a few others here as well. On the retention side, especially true if you have activated the 5-year look back data set within AMC, where you have 5 years of purchase data. You can go lock in on the cohort of customers that were your customers but are no longer buying from you, right? So these are the types of, and there's a few other ideas as well, but these are the types of audiences you can activate. And of course, deploy both in sponsored product and sponsored brands. One quick note, just so that you're aware how long it takes for an audience to be activated. Like DSP, what we see is typically 24 hours. Sponsored ads, 48 to 72 hours. So just keep this in mind, especially if you want these to be active on the day off. You want to be ready with these audiences the week before. One nuance, obviously, in sponsored product and sponsored brand, you can only add one audience per campaign. It's a bit of a constraint. Hopefully, Amazon changes that in the future. 2 patterns to think about. For specific products of interest, you could go create standalone campaigns with the pure intention of activating some of these audiences so that you have clean attribution and monitoring. That's one strategy. The other way is, on your existing campaigns, activate the audience. You want to lower the base bids and make the bid multiplier aggressive so you get the desired effect. So those are kind of the two patterns when it comes to sponsor product and sponsor brand campaigns. So in all of this, like, how can we at Intentwise help? I'm going to have Vaibhav just open up a poll so you can express your interest so we can follow up with you. Either you respond to that, or I'm going to also leave my email. Vaibhav, if you don't mind, leave my email here as well as a link to kind of a request to demo of the Intentwise platform, but give you a quick sense for the different ways Intentwise helps brands and agencies above and beyond what the AMC console will do for you. One is just advanced insights, getting lifetime value, looking back 5 years, certainly at a brand level, but also down to the product level with your choice of look forward periods, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years. So this, we enable that within our platform. Similarly, repeat purchase analysis, who are the cohorts that are buying a lot versus just once. Churn analysis is another example. Shopper abandonment. By product, we're able to construct a view that tells you exactly where are shoppers abandoning your funnel. Is it detail page views? Is it cart abandoners? Is it add to carts? Where are they abandoning? That becomes a great starting point to create further audiences. These are some examples of advanced insights. Also, our library of audiences, so you can activate them very easily within our platform, is growing rapidly. So you're just a couple of clicks away from activating audiences and pushing them to your both sponsored ads and DSP instances. Now, besides all the tech, AMC happens to be one of those things where if you just handed you a tech platform and let you be, it's not going to work. That's where we have invested heavily in custom services, all the way from strategizing with you to figure out a roadmap of questions to answer, to custom build out of queries and audiences. We are very hands-on in terms of helping you extract value from AMC. And our purpose is to help accelerate that path for you. With that, I'm done with my presentation for the webinar. I'm happy to take questions. Feel free to drop your questions in the questions section. Let me stop screen share and I'll try to address them. So if you have questions, either the chat or the questions section down below is perfectly okay. And please drop your questions there. Yeah, so there's a question about the 5-year look back. So the 5-year look back is a paid data set. It costs about $500 a month. You can activate it in your AMC instances. The way to think about that data set is basically every shopper and every transaction, looking back the last 5 years, is made available to you. There are many ways to use that data, certainly to calculate lifetime value, build cohorts of customers that have churned, understand time to purchase patterns. So you can do a number of things with that. Let's see, any more questions? Yes, we will share out the recording. We will send you the deck. We'll do those will follow right after the webinar. Vaibhav, I think we call this a wrap, right?
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining, and look out for our email with the links to the recording as well as the deck. See you on the next webinar.
There's a question, Srinath.
Let me see. Let me see. I'm trying to pull that up. Is it better to learn SQL and AMC or look out for platforms like yours? I think the question is it better to learn SQL and then use AMC on the console or look out for platforms like yours? I think the answer is probably somewhere in the middle. Like, yes, learning SQL will help you in general, but uh, there are certain aspects to AMC that the console doesn't support, like simple things like scheduled outputs, right? Scheduled reporting, or making first party uploads easy, or even like advanced use cases like the ones I'm talking about: customer lifetime value, repeat purchase behavior. Those are things that like are not as straightforward. So I think it's a combination. It never hurts to learn SQL and use AMC directly. It'll just elevate your knowledge and also help you ask the right questions of AMC. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.